Do you ever feel tired all the time? Like your work just keeps piling on top of your desk and there's actually nothing you can do to ensure you're doing things at the right pace. And then, on top of it all, you're just feeling tired. Then, the way you try to compensate for this feeling is try as much as possible to tackle all the work you can at the same time. Actually, you feel brilliant when you realize you're able to be on a Zoom meeting while you're writing a report or writing some notes or tackling any kind of research. Well, the bad news for you is you're not being brilliant, you're being kind of dumb. And so was I before I really started researching what multitasking does to your brain. And then I literally burned out. So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what you have to do to avoid falling into this trap. So first things first, did you know that what we usually call multitasking isn't really multitasking? Real multitasking isn't actually possible. Only computers are capable of doing two tasks actively at the same time. Multitasking refers to the ability to actively work on two tasks at the same time. So what we commonly say is multitasking is actually something else. We can be talking about passive multitasking, like driving while you're listening to music or cooking while you watch Friends, or we're talking about task switching or task sequencing. Task switching is what happens when we're working simultaneously in two things at the same time. For instance, if you're working on a paper and playing a game in between paragraphs, that's task switching. Task sequencing is what happens when you accomplish so many tasks it actually feels like you're doing them at the same time. So here's the bad news. There's actually no kind of advantage to any kind of multitasking that you can actually do. Even passive multitasking, which seems the last problematic one, has a big impact on how your brain processes information as well as your short-term memory. Take this example which shows brain activity while someone is driving and a second image which shows brain activity while someone is driving while listening to a conversation. The same thing happens with task sequencing and task switching. So there's a big impact on your short-term memory as well as a big decrease in levels of energy. Think for instance when you're using your computer and are using 2 or 3 apps at the same time. First thing my Mac does, for instance, is starting running the fans. And same thing happens to your brain. You can multitask, you can finish those tasks, but at what cost? Also, as you're switching back and forth between tasks, you have the problem of loose threads. Basically, as your mind resets to different type of tasks too often, part of the brain power you were using while focusing on one thing at a time gets lost in the middle of the process. This makes it even more difficult to finish tasks within strict deadlines, and there's also a problem of ensuring you can maintain the quality of the tasks you're trying to finish. Also, calculating how long you'll take to finish a task is very difficult if you're doing 2 tasks at the same time. And no, it's not just adding the time required to complete the first one to the time required to complete the second task. Because of information asymmetries and tiredness, you're going to take a lot longer. All in all, every single time we split our attention between 2 different things we have to do, 2 different tasks, we are going to see some real disadvantages. You can make sure one of 3 possible outcomes will happen. The tasks you're doing will be performed way slower, you'll start making a lot of mistakes in the process and drastically reducing the quality of those tasks, or you'll literally have a breakdown. And if you're still doubting all of this, there's a very simple exercise we can make. In your computer, phone, or piece of paper, start writing 2 notes. Think of a sentence. So in the first note, write your sentence all at once, and then write your sentence in the second note. How long did it take you? Only a couple of seconds, maybe. Now delete those sentences and start doing the same thing letter by letter, switching back and forth between one note and the other every time you have to type a new character. How long did that take you? And if you take this as a challenge to the exercise without slowing down the process, here's the thing. Even if you took the same time writing the 2 sentences character by character than you took in the first instance, you'll probably have to admit it takes a lot more effort to do this in a faster way. Just think, if you wrote a paper like this for 2 hours, don't you think you'd feel pretty tired in the end? Okay, so this all seems pretty fun, but what can you actually do? If you're a student, you probably have a lot of flexibility and independence, and you can actually kind of organize your work around these principles. But in most typical work environments, multitasking is basically the norm today. And even if you want to be quite focused in your work, probably someone is going to knock at your door, send you an email, or give you a phone call. So let's think about the value of all the tasks you have to do. There are some tasks that hold greater value. They get you closer to your goals, and every time you accomplish one, you know you're making progress. And then you have a lot of support tasks. Tasks that are important because they help you accomplish your high-value tasks more efficiently, but they don't require the same level of brain power and creativity. If we were using Cal Newport's terminology, we would probably say that the high-value tasks are all the tasks you do under deep work mode, and all the support tasks can be done under shallow work mode. And this distinction is important. So to avoid the problems and the disadvantages of multitasking, we just need to do the opposite. We need to engage in solid single tasking or monotasking. And that basically means we need to prepare our digital and our physical environment to focus on one task at a time. But once again, it's really not realistic to think that we can manage all external factors and all distractions that arrive at our desk every single day. So there's kind of a tip we can use to ensure that we're devoting the time we need to the tasks that matter the most, and we're leaving the tasks that matter the less for kind of multitasking purposes. So let's look at your schedule. If there's a high-value task that requires you to engage in a really focused mindset, you should make the time for it. But not any block of time works. You really need to think about when it is less likely for you to face distractions. There can be a part of your day when you're more isolated, either because people are still not at work, because people are asleep, or because people are all in their lunch breaks. Shifting some time around to ensure you have some time every single day to minimize the chances of being interrupted is going to be the solution to your problem. When you find these blocks of time, commit to doing high-value tasks only, the ones that get you closer to your goals. Admin tasks, planning and organization, or highly repetitive tasks can be done during a time where you predict you'll be interrupted. After all, there's not much to lose, and it's easy for you to restart even if you lose your train of thought. Also, respect breaks. Breaks help the efficiency and quality of all the work you produce. Allow yourself to rest properly between breaks because that's the only thing that will truly help you. So it's important to be flexible with your time and find the part of your day that allows you to do the most valuable work. If you feel like you don't have enough time to learn because you're swamped with work, then you need to find kind of a system or a service that helps you learn at your own pace. So if you're interested in science and technology, I highly recommend taking a class on probability fundamentals, the kind of skill you'll apply on a daily basis, even if your job, like mine, has nothing to do with actual science. And a great place to take this course is on Brilliant. Brilliant is an interactive learning platform that teaches about math, science, computer science, and many other subjects. The whole concept behind Brilliant is to allow you to be very hands-on, so you can learn a lot of new things without ever having to memorize things or read entire textbooks. And if you're like, oh, I'm really not that much into science, wait, because Brilliant has more to it than it looks like. For instance, you can learn more about making decisions, problem solving, resource trade-offs, how to organize information, and you need literally no previous knowledge for that. And that's the beauty of Brilliant. They introduce you to science concepts by showing you how it works in the world around you. So you never have to say again, oh, I'm terrible at math, or, well, I just can't understand how physics work. That kind of thinking should never be a handicap for you because you just need the right resources and the right way of learning to start getting it. So if you want to purchase a full year of Brilliant, there's a 20% off discount if you click the link down below. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next week. Bye guys!